She was sleeping in row 10, her head resting against the window as the hum of the engines lulled her into a light slumber. The kind of sleep where the world feels distant, and nothing matters but the gentle sway of the plane. That calm shattered when the captain's voice boomed over the intercom, urgent and commanding. "Any combat pilots on board? Please identify yourselves immediately." The cabin erupted into confused murmurs. Phones were lifted, passports fumbled through, and anxious eyes scanned each other. But she didn't move. Her eyes snapped open, a chill crawling down her spine. Row 10 had never felt more exposed. A man in a sharp uniform bolted down the aisle, clipboard in hand, scanning passengers with an intensity that made hearts pound. Her mind raced. She hadn't intended to be here. Boarding this flight had been a mistake, one she had hoped would go unnoticed. But now, under the fluorescent glare of the cabin, there was no hiding. The man stopped just in front of her, his eyes narrowing.
"You."
"Row 10. Are you qualified?" Her heart pounded in her chest. The words caught in her throat. She wasn't a combat pilot, not officially, but what she'd done in the past, the missions she'd flown, the secrets she'd kept, meant that a simple lie wouldn't work. She forced herself to straighten in her seat, locking eyes with him. "I am," she said softly, but the weight in her voice betrayed the storm brewing beneath calm composure. A tense silence spread across the cabin, passengers leaning forward as if the air itself was waiting for what would happen next. The man's gaze was sharp, dissecting her, searching for the truth. Then, almost imperceptibly, a small nod. "Follow me. Now." She grabbed her bag, the metal clasps digging into her palms, and rose. Passengers whispered behind her, some in awe, some in fear, as she walked down the aisle. Every step felt surreal, like moving through someone else's life. The cockpit door loomed ahead, a barrier between the ordinary world and the storm that awaited beyond. The moment she stepped inside, the cabin door slammed shut behind her. The captain looked up, eyes wide but calculating.
"Good."
I wasn't sure anyone would answer. His voice was calm, almost casual, but it carried the weight of someone who had seen too much. "We've got a problem, and you're going to help us fix it." Her stomach turned as the situation was explained. A small, rogue fighter drone, armed and unpredictable, was tracking the plane. No one on the ground had the clearance or skill to neutralize it. Only someone with her history could. She swallowed hard, the gravity of it hitting her. Row 10 had been where she rested, unaware of the past she had buried. But now, every skill she'd honed, every mission she'd survived, was about to come back in a way she couldn't ignore. She took a deep breath, letting the hum of the plane remind her that this was still flying, still fragile. And somewhere beyond the clouds, the threat waited. Her fingers hovered over the controls. This wasn't just a flight anymore, it was a battlefield in the sky, and she was the only one who could turn the tide. Underscore 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 underscore. If you want, I can continue the story from this point and escalate the tension with thrilling aerial combat sequences and shocking twists. Do you want me to continue? She took a steadying breath, letting the recycled air fill her lungs, and forced her trembling hands to steady on the controls. The cockpit was tight, claustrophobic, but she'd flown in tighter spaces under far worse circumstances. The captain leaned over, tapping a screen that displayed a series of blips chasing the plane like predatory eyes. "They're fast. And they're smart," he said, his voice low, urgent. "Standard evasive maneuvers won't shake them. You'll have to take control manually, get creative." Her mind raced. The rogue drone wasn't just a mechanical threat, it was a precision-engineered weapon, programmed to track every micro-movement. She could feel the tension coiling in her chest, but with tension came clarity. Every flight she had survived, every split-second decision she had made in past missions, now sharpened into laser focus. She studied the screens. The drone maintained a relentless approach vector, and the plane's automated systems couldn't predict its erratic maneuvers. "I need manual override," she said, her voice calm but steely. "We can't rely on autopilot. It'll outsmart it in a second." The captain gave a curt nod and flipped a switch. Lights flickered as the system disengaged. The plane shuddered slightly, and she felt that familiar, electrifying surge, the way she used to feel before taking control of a fighter jet in hostile airspace. It was terrifying and intoxicating at the same time. Outside, the sky was empty. Ordinary clouds drifted lazily, oblivious to the deadly chase unfolding within. Then a sudden blip appeared on the radar, a pinpoint of precision moving faster than any civilian craft should. The drone had locked on. She gripped the control column tighter, recalling techniques she hadn't used in years. A sudden dive, a sharp turn, a roll. It was instinct. Her body remembered what her mind had tried to bury. Each maneuver forced the drone to adjust, and for a moment, she thought she had it confused. But then it adapted, correcting its course with a chilling accuracy. "Damn it," she muttered under her breath. Her heart pounded in sync with the plane's engines. Every second felt like an eternity. The passengers in the cabin were unaware of how close they were to catastrophe, still murmuring nervously, some pressing their foreheads to the windows, oblivious to the high-stakes aerial duel happening above the clouds. The captain's voice cut through the intercom, steady but tense. Options. Her mind raced. Standard countermeasures wouldn't work. Electronic interference could disrupt it briefly, but only if she got close enough. And getting close meant putting herself directly in the drone's path. She considered the risks, calculated trajectories, and realized there was only one chance. "I can override its targeting system manually," she said, almost whispering. "But I need you to trust me, and no one else can touch the controls." The captain's silence was tense, but then a faint nod. "Do what you have to." Her fingers flew over the touch screens, bypassing automated protocols, inputting sequences that the plane's systems weren't designed to handle. She could feel the heat in her palms, the subtle vibrations of the aircraft as it responded to her commands. The drone blinked on the radar, and she noticed a pattern. It had a blind spot, a fraction of a second delay in its targeting recalibration. That was all she needed. She initiated a series of rapid, unpredictable maneuvers. Sharp climbs, dives, banking turns that would make an experienced pilot queasy. And then, at the precise moment, she executed the override. The drone's sensors flickered, and for the first time, it wavered, its trajectory faltering. "Yes, come on," she whispered, teeth clenched. The captain's eyes were wide, watching every movement, fully aware that one wrong command could send the plane spiraling out of control. She directed the aircraft in a sudden, tight roll, bringing the drone into the plane's wake turbulence. The mechanical hunter shuddered, sensors scrambling to recalibrate. For a fleeting second, she felt a strange mix of triumph and dread. The drone was vulnerable, but not destroyed. She needed to finish this carefully. A misstep could trigger an explosion midair. Her training kicked in, calculating the precise trajectory needed to neutralize the threat. She initiated a controlled dive, angling the plane so the drone's own propulsion would overcompensate. The moment came. The drone collided with its own energy field, spinning out of control, a tiny fireball flashing before it disappeared over the horizon. Relief surged through her, but it was tempered by exhaustion. The plane shuddered as systems recalibrated, and the captain exhaled audibly, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. "That was impressive," he said, his voice a mixture of awe and disbelief. She allowed herself a brief moment to breathe, staring out at the sky, which now seemed calm and endless, as if the storm had never existed. Yet, deep down, she knew this was only the beginning. The drone was a warning, not an isolated incident. Someone had sent it, and someone would be watching. Her mind replayed every detail, the speed, the precision, the intelligence behind the machine. Whoever was behind this had resources, knowledge, and reach that extended far beyond what anyone on this flight could imagine. And if they were willing to target an unarmed civilian plane, There was no telling what they might do next. The captain's voice brought her back from her thoughts. Passengers will start asking questions soon. They don't need to know the specifics, but he trailed off, glancing at her with that same mixture of respect and wariness. You saved all of them. I don't know how, but you did. She nodded, feeling the weight of every life in that cabin pressing down on her. But she couldn't let herself relax, not yet. The skies were deceptively calm, and danger rarely announced itself twice. Whoever orchestrated this attack would know she had fought back, and now they would adapt, plan something more dangerous. Her eyes flicked to the radar again, scanning for anomalies. Nothing appeared yet, but she knew better. Threats like this didn't disappear. They hid, waiting for the right moment to strike again. And she had no intention of being caught off guard. She straightened, adjusting her grip on the controls, the adrenaline still coursing through her veins. The plane glided smoothly now, but her mind raced with the next steps. Whoever had sent the drone was testing her, probing weaknesses, and now she had to be ready for whatever came next. The cabin remained oblivious, passengers murmuring, some dozing, some tapping impatiently on their devices. Row 10, where she had slept moments ago, had transformed from a place of quiet comfort into a frontline observation post. She had been called, tested, and had survived, but survival was only the first part of the story. The sky stretched endlessly ahead, and somewhere beyond those clouds, the real battle was just beginning.